Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special Sunday video. It's a busy day because today we have not one, not two, but three videos that I will be dropping tonight. What's going on with the first one? And before you ask, yes, I have tape on my glasses because one of my cats knocked them off. They fell on the floor about a month or so ago and it cracked a little. And then the other day when I was at my concert, I went to change my shirt and it fell on the floor and broke even more. So I now have even more tape on my glasses. I look even more like a jackass. And yes, I need to find the time to go to the eye doctor to get those fixed. But we're not here to talk about that. Our first video of the day is a special first music video for this channel. As some of you may or may not know, one of my favorite groups right now for the last couple years has been Blackpink. Yes, that's right. A guy who was raised on heavy metal and rock music is into K-pop, more specifically Blackpink. Yes, I am a dedicated Blink. In case you did not know, that is what Blackpink fans are called. They're called Blinks, and I am happily dedicated Blink. And today's video we're going to be answering a question that has been in my head for the last year. So, as your first, let me give you a little bit of backstory of how we got here. Like I said, I grew up on rock music and heavy metal, old school, rock band music. Um, Maybe like a few years ago, a friend of mine got me into K-pop. They showed me BTS, and they have some really good songs. They do. I will admit that. From there, I started listening to other groups such as NC17, 18s, other K-pop bands like that, and I started checking out Blackpink. I had heard about them, but I never like really listened to any of their music. I think the first song I heard from them was Ice Cream, which featured another of my favorite actresses, Selena Gomez. And yeah, so from there on, I just listened to some more of their music, and I got more interested, and they became one of my favorites. My very first favorite member of the group was Jisoo. I just love her voice. She has such a very unique voice compared to the other members of the group. After a while, eventually, my favorite became Lisa now. But I'll be honest, like I said, I love all four of these girls. They're all amazing, talented musicians. They all bring their own flavor and style to when, Blackpink performs as a group as when they perform solo. And like I said, I love this group so much. I got to see them in concert last summer. And yes, I love this group so much that I have like well, five or six Blackpink playlists in my phone. I have playlists for everything. I got one for when I'm at work, one for when I'm taking a shower, one for when I'm driving, and I have for different artists that I like specific playlists. As far as Blackpink goes, I have one playlist where all their music is together in one full playlist. Their group music, their solo music. I have one playlist with just their group music, another playlist with just their solo music, and I have individual solo playlists for each member. Have I listened to every single Blackpink song? Yes, I have, with the exception of one. There is one Blackpink song I will not listen to. I refuse to, and I will stay on that until the day I die. That is because it features Cardi B, who, if you know me or not, I do not like Cardi B whatsoever. I do not like her. I do not like her music. I just don't like her. Um, I don't know. I just don't like her, so I refuse to listen to the Blackpink song that features Cardi B. I will not have it on my phone. Listen to it, nothing. So yeah. I've also in the past did a um, countdown ranking of my top 30 Blackpink songs that I did on my Snapchat and my Instagram a while back. I did it once when I first got into the group, and then I did it a second time like a year later, which was like a redo because a lot of the songs I started liking more than when I first did the countdown. And I also did a top 30 solo songs from the group a while back, and I also did a ranking of all of Lisa's, all 16 of her solo songs. I did those on my Snapchat and on my Instagram. I do have another ranking that I'm probably going to do. Spoiler alert for those, I do plan on ranking every single Blackpink song. All I think there's like they have like 30 something in total, and I will rank them all from worst to best. I think you already know what I'm gonna put last. I did that with another band that I really love, The Warning. I ranked all 62 songs of theirs, so not from worst, from like least favorite to best, because they don't have no bad songs. But anyway, going back to what we're here to talk about today, so about a year ago, Blackpink went somewhat on a hiatus, not really, not quite, where all four girls decided, have gone on to do their own solo work. They, to varying degrees of success. They've all, in the last year, have released a solo album. Um, I believe Rosie was first, and then I want to say it was Jisoo, and then Jennie, and then Lisa were last. Um, so in the last year, all four have released their own solo album, and I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so which member exactly has the best solo album, in my opinion? Again, as a reminder, this is just my opinion. I'm pretty sure if there's any other Blink fans out there that might think differently. And you're more than welcome to that. I have no problem against that. You don't have to agree with what I say. Like I said, again, this is just my opinion. And let me just say, I am not musically inclined whatsoever. So I have no idea, nothing about no musical jargon or whatever. I'm just going by based off what I hear and what I see. So, um, with that being said, let's get into it. Like I said, all four of these girls are amazing, amazing musicians, talented musicians in their own right. Like I said, they all have their own style, their own flavor. So let's get to it then. And like I said, I'm trying not to be biased here. I'm really not, because like I said, Lisa is my favorite. So I try to leave the bias out of here. When their solo albums came out last year, I pretty much downloaded, them onto my playlist, and I listened to all their songs, but in kind of, I guess you could say like in a random kind of way. I didn't really sit there and listen to each album from beginning to last, which is what I did with this when I came to say, well, let me see if I can see who has the best one out of all four of them. So that's what I did. The other day, I listened to each individual solo album from beginning to end in track order. And I'm the kind of person where I feel like doing a kind of like when I used to make mix CDs, back in the day. It's kind of like if you watch my wrestling videos, as like when you build a card for a show, you want to start off with something big, and then you want to like mix things up in the middle, and then when you get to the end, you want to have that little cool down spot, and then you end things on a big note, on a bang. But that's just me. Like I said, I have no idea what any musical terms are, so don't come at me for that. I'm just like I said, I'm just going off what I heard. Um, so with that being said, let's get to it. Um, Again, like I said, I'm not placing any of these as worse because, like I said, they're not bad. Um, but coming in at fourth, I hate to do this, is Jennie with her solo album Ruby. Again, like I said, I love Jennie. She's obviously one of my favorites. There's only four girls in the group. Um, like I said, Jennie's amazing. She does the rapping along with Lisa, but like I said, we're going based off what their solo work does. And in Ruby, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of good catchy radio songs I want to call that. Of course, it starts off a bang with like Jennie because it's probably one of the best songs on there. And then I guess what just doesn't do it for me is there's like it's too much of a hip hop-ish album. But to me, like I said, me personally, I've never really been into hip hop or rap music like that, which is kind of ironic because look who my favorite member is. I've never really been into like heavy hip hop or heavy R&B or anything like that. So which kind of sadly puts Jennie by default in last place. Like I said, it's not a bad album. I'm not saying it's the worst. I love Jennie. I love you. Whatever. I want to be like Jennie too. But yeah, I would have to put her in fourth place. Like I said, my personal opinion. Like I said, it's too hip hoppy, too rappy for me. But there's a few songs on there that are really good that don't feel too much of a hip hop vibe to it. If I had to pick my favorite song off the entire track, I would probably go with Mantra, which is my favorite. Like Jenny is good. Zen, Twin is another good one, which hasn't really been played a lot, but it's a really good one. Starlight. Um, what else was there? Extra LL, Handlebars. They're all pretty good songs, but the rest, like I said, it just feels it's too hip hop, too much hip hop rap for me. And like I said, that's not really my theme. Like I said, I'm not saying this is a bad album because it's not. I'm not saying it's the worst album because it's not. Like I said, this album is good. It's just in fourth place for me. So coming in at number three, we're gonna go with Rosie by Rose. Now, like some people call it Rose. It's technically Rose. I usually just call her Rosie. Um, so Rosie is another one that has a really good album. Rosie, I guess I call her Rosie. Rosie is my second favorite member of the group. I love her accent, her Australian, New Zealand accent. I love it really much. Um, and she's been my second favorite since I first got into this group. Even when Jisoo was my favorite till now, and Lisa, Rosie has always been my number two. Um, and her album, like I said, when I first downloaded these albums, I listened to them in some random order. I didn't listen to them in order. So when I kind of listened to her songs when I first got them, I'm like, oh, okay, they, as much as I hate to say, they sounded too bland or too WW or whatever you want to call it. But when you listen to it in track order, it sounds a lot better. Yes, he does have a lot of sad, heartbreaking songs in there. Who hurt my girl? Who hurt her? Who hurt Rosie? Because there is a lot of sad, heartbreaking songs on there, and that's why that was my first initial thought when I first heard her new songs. And a lot of them felt like really sad and really, emotional. But when you hear the mixture of it in order, it sounds a lot different. She kicks off the album with I want to say that I clearly forgot. I want to say it was 3 a.m. I think it was. Um, and then it pretty much blended. It goes from happy to sad, happy to sad. It's a pretty good mixture. And then you have her number one main most popular song, APT, is like dead right in the middle of the album. I think it would have been a good way to start off with that. But then once I got to the end of the album, the very last song, which is Vampire Holly, it's a good song, but I wouldn't have, me personally, I would not have saved it for last because, like I said, you want to go out with a bang. You want to go out with something to remember by. And if it wasn't first, I really think APT probably should have been the last song. Have you heard the song? I mean, I think that would have been better off as a final track on the album. Again, nothing bad. Like I said, none of these girls have any bad music. That's just me saying that. Um, yeah. Rosie, I would come in at number three. Um, like I said, it sounds much better when you listen to it in track order instead of just this song here, this song here, this song here, because it flows a lot much better. In a way, it kind of tells a story of heartbreak and getting over said heartbreak. It makes much more sense when you listen to it from start to end. So coming in at number two is my original favorite, Jisoo. This is kind of a somewhat of a cheat because she didn't release a full solo album when the other girls released theirs. It was more of a four-song EP. I mean, it wasn't really a full album. It was more, like I said, like a four-song EP. But we're throwing this in there because it came out with all the other ones. And again, I also forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, I am only talking about their solo albums that just came out last year. None of their older solo music from before. Just they're from their just recent solo albums. So again, with Jisoo. And I say I feel like it was a perfect little EP album because like when you listen to it from start to finish, it sounds a lot much better. It starts off with Earthquake, which of course is a nice little catchy little bop on the radio. After that was Your Love, which is my personal favorite song on the album. This is a very loving song. After that was Tears, which is a has a very dark and chilling vibe to it, and then and the final song on the album was Hugs and Kisses, which is basically a little bubblegum pop song. But I feel like everything was just perfect on here. Like it was just it had the right little mixture of you know like I said, I don't know medical, I mean not excuse me, musical terms and all that. So excuse me. Um, So yeah, I feel like it was for only being four songs. I felt like it was just perfect for her. Like I said, Jisoo, my original favorite. I just love her unique voice. She has probably the most unique voice out of all of them. Um, yeah, so she's coming in at number two. Also, I forgot to mention my favorite song off Rosie's album, which is of course APT. And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually the most played song on my music library at this moment. So yeah, so now we get to number one, and if you obviously been keeping track, there's obviously only one member left. And again, I promise you, promise you, this is not me being biased. I am putting Lisa at number one with her album Alter Ego. Again, I am not being biased. I promise you. Yes, Lisa is my favorite member. But like I said, I really enjoy her album. Like I said, when I listened to all her songs on random, and I was like, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. But like I said, it sounds much better when you flow it from beginning to end, and it's just simply amazing. Um, it's really great. It kicks off with Rockstar, which is a very good song. I mean, there's so many great songs on here. Like she has her radio hits like Rockstar, New Woman, Moonlit Floor, Born Again. And then she has the ones that aren't radio hits like Thunder, Rapunzel. Um, there's so many great songs on there, and I can honestly, it's so freaking amazing. I don't think there's one bad song on this album. I will admit there's maybe like one or two songs I don't really vibe with too much, but I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. They're just like not my favorites on the album. But like I said, this album is simply amazing. I think she has a bright future. They all do. I think that whether they continue on as Blackpink or not, or if they decide to go their solo separate ways, I think they all have an amazing uh, path ahead of them. I really do. My favorite song, Elisa's off the album, is "Born Again," which is of course number one. When I ranked all of her solo songs, "Born Again" was ranked number one. Um, so yeah, so there is my I guess you could say ranking and what I personally think is the best solo album out of all four Blackpink members. Again, none of them are bad. There is no worst one. I love all four of these girls equally, just Lisa a little more. And I promise you that was no bias in that at all. Um, they're amazing. Their concert that I went to was amazing, but I will talk about that more in my next video that I'm going to post in a little bit. Um, yeah, so I hope I didn't offend any other blinks out there who might have watched this. Like again, this is just my opinion. You guys might think differently. You guys might think Jenny has the best album. You might think Jisoo has the best. You might think Rosie has the best. You guys might think Lisa has the worst. But and that's all your opinion, and you're all entitled to it, just like I am mine. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm happy to open to chat with you about it. It's not, I love to have discussions like that. I look forward to hearing your opinions on these things. So yeah, so there you go. I had this question in my head over the last few months. I thought to myself, okay, which Blackpink member actually had the best solo album to me anyway? And so I finally said, you know what? It's been a year since they've been out. I finally got a chance to listen to all four of them in um, complete track order from beginning to end. And here we are with the results. Number four is Jenny with Ruby. Number three was Rose with Rosie. Number two is Jisoo with Amortids. I think that's how you pronounce it. And of course, number one is Lisa with Alter Ego. So, yeah. Again, I promise you, no bias in this whatsoever. I promise you. I promise you. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on which Blackpink member has the best album. What are your thoughts? I would definitely love to hear them. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. And will I do another music ranking thing like this? Who knows? Maybe. But if you do like this music content, which I don't do too much of, you might enjoy my next video I got coming up in just a matter of moments. So until then, sit back and enjoy. And if you haven't asked me about it, chances are I'm going to talk about it anyway.